Hi everyone and welcome to In Layman's Terms. I realize that there's a lot happening in our country and there's too many things to focus on. From the Madlanka Commission to the Ad Hoc Parliamentary Commission to the coverage of the news with regard to the different trials that are currently taking place in our high courts, it becomes difficult for one to actually focus on one thing. And what is the bigger picture that we actually need to be focusing on? We are at the backdrop of local government elections in 2026. And my question to you today is, do we have an alternative to the current ruling party? I put it to you. All of these things that are currently taking place, from the Madlanka Commission to the state of our hospitals, to the state of looting, to criminals actually being part and parcel of our South African police system, I put it to you that all of it is directly rooted to the ruling party. I am not the only person who holds this opinion. Here's Prince Mashele on this particular matter.
Are looking elsewhere. We may not like the ANC today because of some of the reasons you've pointed out, but how certain are we that what is to come next isn't even worse?
No, we're not certain, because you see, there are two political parties on the opposition side of things that are parading as alternatives to the ANC. That is the EFF and MK. These two political parties are actually the ANC. We know them. Look at their leaders. You will see they come from these are factions that have broken out of the ANC. So the ANC cancer is there in Umkhonto. So Umkhonto, the day they take over KwaZulu-Natal, I pray that God helps that province. The day the EFF take over South Africa, if they were to take over South Africa, I can tell you it will be the perpetuation of the same thing. Look at the history of Julius Malema, by the way, and Limpopo and Tenders. So the ANC is not just the fragment that is left in the Tula House. Even Umkhonto and the EFF are part of the ANC, and they are as rotten as that what remains in Umkhonto in the Tula House.
Why is Julius Malema catching strays? He's never been convicted of.
So according to Prince Mashele, the EFF as well as Umkhonto are basically the ANC. So if the ANC or the EFF were to see power, we would basically be stuck experiencing what we are currently experiencing with the ANC. But I put it to you that there's a third player in this particular instance. There's a third player whom we are not necessarily paying attention to. In fact, this third player is a player that we've been applauding all along. As of recently, we've started looking at them with circumspect, and we've started looking at them and ask ourselves a lot of questions. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Kenny Kunene, I'm talking about Gayton McKenzie, I'm talking about Patriotic Alliance. And the reason why we've been behind them is because of the Abahambe movement. However, the thing that makes me question their credibility is this.
Commissioner, are you 100% sure that Mr. Kunene was found at the house of Mr. Molefe 2 times?
Honorable Chairperson, what the team reported to me is that yes, he was there twice. You'd recall one of the times he was found in the house. The other time they say he turned at the gate. He never entered, but he turned right at the gate. They denied him entry. So that's the report I got.
So you yourself are not 100% sure?
No. I can't be 100%, but that's the report I got, Honorable.
So if you're not 100% sure, as the number one cop in this country, understanding the rules of our criminal justice system, how can you, General, knowing that you're not sure, sit here in front of all South Africans and state as fact that Kenny Kunene was there twice?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. When I say not 100% sure, I mean me. I wasn't there, but the team, I believe them. They say one of the occasions he was in the house. One of the occasions they turn him at the gate.
Your team is not testifying.
Oh, yes.
You are testifying. And you are saying, for surety, that he was there. You're not sure. Your team reported to you. That still qualifies as hearsay. I'm not moved by the sounds in the house. Let's deal with the law. Let's deal with what is right, Honorable General. You cannot state for a fact that he was there twice. You're basing it on what you have been told.
What is it he supposed to base it on? What is General Masemula supposed to base his testimony on, if not the report that is given to him by his team? That's the first question. The second question, why would General Masemula be at KT Molefe's home? Thirdly, and most importantly, why was Kenny Kunene there, and why are you defending him? I don't even understand the logic or the thinking behind Ashley Sauls doing what he did. He actually said that he is not moved by the sounds and the movements of the people in Parliament who are reacting to his line of questioning. Okay, so you're not moved by your counterparts. You're going to be moved by South Africans who no longer trust your party. We were already on the fence, right? Because you've got a leader party who went on TV wearing 2 watches, giving us some kind of a story about, oh, punch his numbers in my cell phone, you see there's nothing that's going to come up. Jiggy now, General Masemula testifies not only once, but he was there twice. What are you doing with KT Molefe? What are you doing with KT Molefe? Given your history, my cancer, given your history, I just believe that Ashley Sauls' line of questioning basically dented the credibility of his part. In fact, for me, they're no longer in the running for consideration. I was considering them. I don't think any South African should be considering them after this, because they've literally just played their hand. And guys, unfortunately, we need to remind you of these things. Kenny Kunene and Gayton McKenzie have a history, and their history is not so fantastic. And it seems that they have not left the criminal behavior behind, especially for Kenny Kunene and his seemingly affiliation to KT Molefe, who is facing mounds and mounds of hectic, serious Schedule 5 offenses. What are you doing in the association of such a dangerous human being, yet you want to be in the leadership of the country?
Citated, obviously, and in its own tradition, African News Global has always focused on exclusive stories. So they wanted to do an exclusive story, and Mr. Molefe was a person where there was an opportunity to do a story with him. Remember that he has not spoken publicly since his arrest and whilst he was on bail. And so I facilitated with somebody that I know that knows Mr. Molefe. And Mr. Molefe agreed to do the interview, and the meeting was facilitated.
So you were there essentially as the editor-in-chief of the newspaper, facilitating an interview exclusively?
No, not as editor-in-chief. Mm-hmm. I am handing the platform as the owner to these young people, because I don't have time for it with the work that I'm doing in the city. And but these matters are very sensitive. So the person that facilitated said, you have to bring the journalist, which I did. He sent me the address, and we followed that address. In fact, he sent me the first address, and then he said, no, don't use this one, use this one. It was just a question of street or road or something. Mm-hmm. So we used the address, we got there. We drove in. As we're in the driveway, standing, I don't know if it's the son or one of the boys, came running and saying, the police are kicking the gate. And Mr. Molefe came out and they said, no, open the gate.
So just for clarity, you were yet to enter the premises as well. Is that what you're saying?
No, we're inside the premises.
So you're inside the
we're
premises.
In the driveway.
Okay, but there's two of you inside now. It's you and the young journalist you've come to introduce to Mr. Molefe.
No, it's me, the young journalist, and the person that is coming to introduce us to Mr. Molefe.
All right.
The person that has facilitated for the interview to happen. So before we could even go in the house or sit wherever we're going, the journalist will do an interview, then the police arrived. Rifles, Casper, V-classes, and they then asked who is the owner of the house. Mr. Molefe said, it's me, and then they handcuffed him, and they then wanted our particulars, and they called me to ask me these questions, what am I doing there, and I explained to them. They asked me if I've got the number of Mr. Molefe, they want to see it. I said, I don't have his number.
All right.
By the way, you can take my phone, punch his number, and see if I have it. How did you get here? I got here because this person sent me the address. And
Was the story actually ever published? Can anybody say? Do we actually have this story? Because I don't know if it's because I don't care to find out. I'm not sure, but I've actually not seen the story. But speaking of KT Molefe, as well as Cat Matlala, a very interesting thing happened yesterday. The correct thing, in fact, happened yesterday, which is Cat Matlala was denied bail. Cat Matlala was denied bail, and I think a lot of South Africans breathed a sigh of relief, because we were basically expecting the same thing that happened with KT Molefe to happen with Cat Matlala. I think a lot of us were flabbergasted with regards to what had happened on the 10th of October in the Johannesburg High Court when KT Molefe was given bail. So with regard to the particular case of yesterday relating to Vusmusi Cat Matlala, the Johannesburg High Court ruled that Matlala's release would not serve the interest of justice. Acting Judge Peter du Plessis weighed Section 60 A to G of the Criminal Procedure Act, prioritizing public safety over personal liberty. Matlala faces charges of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, amongst many others. He allegedly orchestrated the failed assassination of his ex-girlfriend, actress and influencer Tebogo Thobejane in October 2023. The shooting was targeted at Thobejane's vehicle while she was actually in it, and some other person actually, there's a lady, I can't remember her name, but this lady actually got very badly injured, and it actually affected her spinal cord to the fact that I don't believe she can walk to this day. And both the Magistrate Court and the High Court cited that Matlala not only is a flight risk, he is also a potential threat to witnesses. Remember, this guy walked to Eswatini 3 times. He was caught there at the border, not once, not twice. I don't even think it's 3 times, it's 4 times he walked to Eswatini, and he's got a Eswatini ID, so he's definitely a flight risk. The NPA welcomed this decision, emphasizing the need to protect the integrity of the trial. Matlala is allegedly linked to the so-called Big Five cartel, involved in public tender manipulation, contract killings, and drug distribution. His co-accused KT Molefe is also under scrutiny, raising questions about systematic corruption and the elite impunity. The case has gripped South Africans' public imagination because it's seemingly a weird thing that Vusmusi is denied bail, however, KT Molefe is granted bail. Matlala's bail was denied by the Johannesburg High Court, citing Section 60 of the Criminal Procedure Act. However, Molefe's bail triggered allegations of political interference. Judge Ledwaba is currently facing accusations of accepting a 2.5 million rand bail or 2.5 million rand something brown envelope, which he has denied vehemently. I must say, he's denied it. But we want to know, how did this guy get bail? Both men face serious charges: attempted murder, conspiracy, cartel links. Yet Matlala's case followed a textbook appeal process. So the law was applied correctly, if you ask me, in my opinion, as far as Matlala's case was concerned. But Molefe's case, and I remember watching the trial, I remember commenting, and I said, this guy is going to get bail, because I was listening to his attorney. And his attorney, at one point in time, made an example of another client he had who faced more serious charges than KT Molefe, and apparently he didn't flee. And this was one of the examples that he was giving the court, that actually KT Molefe is not going to run away. Matlala's case is shaped by media visibility. A lot of media houses are covering his case, as opposed to Molefe's case. There's a lack of media scrutiny. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Cat Matlala, I think, is the fall guy. I feel like there was a misapplication of the Criminal Procedure Act in KT Molefe's case. And I believe that it affects precedents. And I also believe that Cat Matlala believed that what had happened with KT Molefe was basically going to happen to him. If you're an ordinary South African, you are watching this court case and you're thinking that the law is obviously being applied appropriately, accordingly, you know. However, we've now come to find out that there may be a play of brown envelopes involved, according to Witness B and Witness C at the Matlanka Commission. If the law, in my opinion, had been applied correctly, the outcome we are now seeing with Cat Matlala, we should have seen with KT Molefe. I do believe that this guy should not be out and about. I do believe that the decision that was taken yesterday by the court is the correct decision as far as Cat Matlala is concerned. And the guy is facing multiple charges currently, but he's also got such a bad rap sheet. He told one of the witnesses, I think it's Witness C, that he used to be a heist kingpin, and now he's a businessman. What do you mean? What do you mean you're a businessman when you have allegedly accumulated the sources of your wealth from looting, from tender manipulation, from corruption? What do you mean you're a businessman? What do you mean you're a businessman? What do you mean? I also believe that these people's accounts should have been frozen from the onset. While the investigations are still continuing, all of their bank assets should have been frozen. I think there's justifiable cause for that. I don't think that KT Molefe or Matlala should be able to access their funds, especially because there's allegations of allegedly acquiring such wealth through criminal activities. I don't think they should still be using those funds to conduct their legal defenses. I don't believe that those funds should be accessible to them to be able to pay attorneys' fees. Those funds should be frozen as of right now, if you ask me. However, I think that is it for today, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in.